Hey, welcome back to Life You Imagined. My name is Nico, and today we're going to look at the book Presence. I went through a big phase a few years ago, but I was watching a shit ton of TED Talks. And if you have gone down that sort of TED Talk rabbit hole at some point in your life, you probably have come across a very popular video by Amy Cuddy. It was all about body language. And I thought this was, like many people, a really cool, very fascinating talk, which is what made me grab this book right here. What's so cool about this concept that is in this book and was in the YouTube video for the TED Talk, which again, if you haven't seen it, definitely recommend going to check out Amy Cuddy TED Talk. Just look that up on YouTube. Pretty much you're going to get a very condensed, less detailed version of this book right here. So what is this idea that she presents? If you haven't seen the TED Talk or if you haven't read the book, what is this whole thing? Well, we're very used to the idea that things we think and feel can then affect our bodies, yeah? So what's an example of that? Well, let's say we get really angry about something. So we think an angry thought, we have an angry feeling, and we can see this being demonstrated in our physical body. Like our fists might tense up, our facial expression changes, like not a scowling, and you can sometimes maybe your body's shaking because you're so angry, and your voice gets louder, and you start yelling, and you're just, right? That's the manifestation of your fucking angry feelings. Naturally, you're not telling yourself to, okay, now I'm angry, so what do I do? Where's my checklist of being angry physically? Fists and shaking and yell, oh, I'm mad at stuff. No, it's a natural connection. It's an extension physically of how you're feeling. Just like when you're depressed, what do? Most of us tend to retreat inward. We have sort of self-protective body language. And we're going to like kind of arms around like this, sort of holding ourselves almost as a barrier, as a shield. Our shoulders can come up, our necks go down. We don't make a lot of eye contact. We're quiet, it's very low energy. And it's hard to be very motivated in that kind of a state. But again, we don't think, hey, I'm feeling kind of depressed, I'm kind of down today. Let me match my body to that. No, we just do it, right? Same thing if you're happy, you might be excited and you might be bouncing around and like, yeah, cool, like a positive version of being angry. Instead of like, oh, it's yeah. I get that way, actually, just realizing I was like bouncing around like a child. What if I have sushi? I'm often doing that. It's like in my chair, just going, yay, yummy, this is good. Or a lot of different types of foods that I like. I'll just bounce around like a fucking idiot in my chair. I don't think to do this. I'm like, now I'm enjoying the food and I'm happy, so I'm going to be bouncing in my chair. No, I just noticed that I'm doing it. But here's the thing that's cool about this. So we see there's this connection between the emotion and the mind and the emotion, the one that you have. I'm feeling the emotion now. There's a connection between the mind and your emotions and your body. We can see it going this way, down for some reason, from the mind to the body, but it also works the other way, meaning we can do things with our body that then trigger certain thoughts and feelings in the mind. This is something I've been thinking about for a while now, probably because I initially watched that Amy Cuddy video years back. So that might have been the trigger for me, actually. Over the course of my sort of improvement journey, I've tended to come and focus on physical things a lot, rather than trying to force myself to think something or force myself to feel something. I'll do the opposite, and not the opposite, and I was like, force myself to feel the opposite thing. No, what I'll do is I'll actually focus on physical things I can do that can trigger that sensation or those type of thoughts or that type of a view or a mindset. Because I feel, at least in my own experience, it's been a lot easier to do that, to actually focus on the physical things that I can do to change my emotional state, rather than trying to talk myself into feeling a certain way. I know a lot of self-help stuff seems to be that, like you like affirmations and stuff, or you tell yourself something over and over again, trying to believe it even though you don't. It doesn't seem very pragmatic. At least it hasn't been in my experience. If it has for you, fucking great. Frosty Flakes. But that's the premise of this whole book here, is that she goes through a lot of the recent studies about how much the mind and the body are connected, and the opposite what we normally think, again, like I was just saying, about how not only does the brain affect the body, but the body can then affect our brain, and how much more helpful and useful it can be when we focus on the physical sides of what we want to feel and keep working on that to trigger the emotional and mental sides. So there's a lot of studies in this that I think she was even part of several of them too. So it's not just like citing other people's research, but she's actually, I think she's a research psychologist, but whatever. Maybe, maybe she makes toast for a living. So yeah, it's a lot of basically studies, and so she just used some of her personal stories in here too, to sort of give you the journey of how this stuff works. She also does some interviews with people about how they've used these sort of techniques, these physical techniques about posing and posturing and physical behavior and all that to help them in their lives. What I wanted was a really practical, implementable version of that TED Talk that I liked so much. That's what I wanted. I wanted steps. I wanted exercises. I wanted things that I can start applying to my life so I can know that in certain circumstances, try this particular pose or these type of actions. In this circumstance, try this expression, try doing this things. Now, some of these things are kind of given to you through the examples, but the thing I was looking for right there is not exactly in here. There's not a lot of like, okay, we've discussed this concept. Now you at home do this. Stand this way. Do this for 30 seconds. Do this for 2. That's what I wanted, and I don't have that in here, and that's disappointing. In fact, I would go and say that the majority of this book, or at least the first half, is kind of disappointing. It's not bad, but it's a little disappointing, and here's why. Basically, this book, as I said at the beginning of this video, is an extended version with research to back up her conclusions of her initial TED Talk that got so popular. So what happens when you have a sort of a singular concept and you try to write an entire book about it, at least in this particular format, is it can fall prey to bloating and padding, just kind of filler. And that's almost what this book feels like to me. Not exactly. I mean, it's like the majority, sorry, not the majority, but it's the beginning of the book is spent backing up the point, like kind of laying the groundwork and the foundation for the studies and what's actually happening in the brain and the body to cause these things. So she's really trying to make sure like, hey, this is legit shit. Actually, I like that, legit shit. Remember that. This is real. This is not just something I made up. It's not just airy-fairy kind of stuff. This is backed up by research and biology and all this stuff, neuroscience. So she tries to do that first. She lays out the first half of the book is just getting to the thing that you want to hear about, which again is how you can strike different poses and hold them and change your facial expression and movements and all this and how it can affect your brain and how you feel and how you think. So the entire first half just kind of feels like, again, not bad. It's just like, okay, I get it. You're trying to lay your case, but I did find myself kind of getting impatient going, yeah, okay, I get it. It's not poorly written. It's not boring necessarily. I said I just got impatient because I'm like, this was not what I was looking for yet. It's nice to know, but I don't need the whole first half of the book to be like, okay, all of this is just me laying the foundation. I'm like, can we just get into the stuff that you talked about, the stuff that that you did your whole video on? That's what I wanted to get to. And she does finally get to that. Even when you finally get to that, it is a little bit more of just kind of a slightly more fleshed out version of what she already has in the TED Talk. And it doesn't really have a lot of those actionable things I think a lot of people who pick up this book knowing the TED Talk would want. Me being one of those people. That you would want something you can directly apply. Something that's actionable, like, oh cool, I can try this, I can try that. And you can, but it's not framed so focused on the reader as I would like. And as I said in the written review on the Life You Imagine website, that's one thing I noticed about a lot of authors too, is that they don't always focus on what I feel the reader is wanting from their book. They're just talking about their research or maybe personal experience, and those things are fine. Those are not bad things to include in the book. But when there's a lack of applicability, when there's a lack of actionability from something like this, it seems to kind of go against the entire concept of self-improvement, doesn't it? I mean, why would you pick up this book in the first place? If you knew like, oh, this is about being able to use your body and posture and that to change your how you feel and change how you think. It's a pretty cool idea, right? You'd want to know how to do that, yeah? Not just be like, read about the concept and be like, okay, that was interesting. I have no use for this and I don't need to apply it in my life. I suppose there are some people that can do that. You're just interested in the topic. I mean, I do have some things where it's like, I'll just read it because I'm interested in the concept of it, but I'm never going to do anything with it. But in this case, a lot of these books, like I want to do something with this information. I want to use this. I want to use it to improve my life. And as I said, it's not like you can't with this book. I'm not telling you that there's nothing in here, but it's not formatted like where there's an end of chapter review or steps that, you, the reader at home. Why are you at home? That's where you read. You only read at home, ever. You, the reader, whatever location you're in, can actually start working on. So that holds it back a little bit for me. And it's, as I also mentioned in the review, this was a challenging book to rate because I really like the concept of this. I think this concept is really important and really useful. And I've been using this concept a lot lately. And even over the last year, this has become very, very useful for me. And I think it could be useful for a lot of people. But again, you have this thing where, as I said, it's not boring, it's not academic, it's well written, it's personal, all these kind of things. But the first half of the book is just laying the groundwork for the initial thing that she is going to be telling you. So it's like, I don't know, as I said, I was impatient to get to that point. And then I said I wanted more actionability out of it too. And I didn't quite get that. You can read the stories and go, okay, I guess I kind of do what they do. But it could use some help, I think, in that area to actually make it more directly applying to the reader. That's what I wanted from it. So, but this idea, this whole core concept of focusing on physical things to affect your mental and emotional self is, I think, one of the more important ideas to learn when you're trying to improve your mental health, your emotional health. We get so caught up in focusing up here that we forget that we have other ways. Like there's kind of like a back door. There's kind of a secret way to sort of hack your mind without your mind really realizing it. You're not, because if you're sitting there trying to convince yourself that, oh, I'm happy, your mind knows that at that moment you're probably not happy and doesn't believe it. But if you kind of have this other way to sort of trick yourself into feeling a certain way, it's like there's less resistance, which I think is really cool. I'll say I actually use some of these ideas, inspired by this, inspired by a few other things that I've been reading, and some things I've just sort of tried out on myself in my own ebook that I wrote. Yeah, by the way, I probably should have mentioned that at some point. I wrote my first ebook. It's entirely for free. It's called Hack Your Emotions, and it is all about how to reduce the effects of anxiety and depression and anger in the moment, so you can kind of go back to living your day again, not being so wrapped up in the intensity, because I can tell you I've dealt with that shit almost all my life and it sucks, and I've always wanted to know like little ways that I could make things a little easier. I don't believe that you can make them disappear without escapism and alcohol and drugs and all kinds of dumb stuff that we shouldn't be doing that are unhealthy. I'm looking for healthy ways that you can do in the moment, just to reduce that impact of that. So I have that on my website, by the way. Please check it out. If that sounds like something that could be helpful for you, and that's again why I wrote it. I wrote it for me initially, to remind myself that I actually fucking know some of these things, to help myself, and I forget when I'm in the motion and all anxious and whatever, depressed, I forget that I actually know some things. Little tips and tricks over the years that I've got from a lot of these books, including this, that actually help, that really help. So I wrote it for me, but I decided to actually turn it into a book that hopefully you might find helpful too. And again, if you're watching this, you probably are a creative person, and creative people tend to be overly sensitive, and overly sensitive people tend to deal with like heightened emotions and heightened emotional reactions. So most likely this might be something that can benefit you. I hope it does, at least. I'm not guaranteeing that it will. I can't make that kind of a guarantee. I have no control over how you feel things or how you feel about things. But yeah, if you want my full written review on this and how I rated it and all that, please go check out the link in the description for the full review on the website, lifeyouimagine.com, as well as the free ebook that I wrote, Hack Your Emotions. So check that out. I'm proud of it. Not that that should affect you. That doesn't make you, it won't make the book better that I'm proud of it. It won't make you like it more that I'm proud of it. I'm just being honest. I wanted to write it and I did. Yay, validation from myself. I don't know. So go ahead and check that out if you're interested. And I do have links to Amazon so you can buy the book if you're interested in that. Also, don't forget to check out that damn video. Like you get the gist of it on her YouTube video. So that TED Talk. So thank you again for watching. This is Life You Imagined. My name is Nico, and I will see you next time. Bye. Welcome back to Life You Imagined, and today I'm going to swing back and forth like a restless child for your entertainment. Are you not entertained? Wow, nice swinging back and forth. Hi, welcome back to Life You Imagined. I just did something dumb. My name is Nico, and I'm not going to use this. Oh! So again, thank you for watching. This is Life You... lip smacking noises.
Hey, you want to be a better person? You want to live a better life? Sweet! Make sure you hit subscribe on Life You Imagined YouTube channel. Don't forget to hit that fucking notification bell so you're always up to date with all the newest offerings from Life You Imagined. Don't forget to go ahead and hit like on the video and share with all your friends. Leave a comment with all your fucking useless information, because I'm never going to read it. Oh, and make sure you go over to lifeyouimagine.com and check out everything I have over there. Look at me, buy my stuff, do everything I want you to do. Sales, marketing, promo, buy my stuff, buy it. Look at me, pay attention to me and everything I do. I'm insecure.